A lot of people are talking about getting off your phone, which is very valid, but I think they're missing something. I don't think smartphone use is a personal issue. I don't think it's about being good or bad. It's not about morality or discipline. I don't think you are letting the phone take over your life and you should just try harder. Of course, I resonate with those attempts because I also feel like I've lost control over the time I spend on my phone, but those willpower-based solutions just don't really work for me. So I thought I'd share a different way to look at it, which I believe makes my relationship to my smartphone a little bit healthier. And while I do so, because I love a bit of whimsy and cuteness, I'll share the making of a small room for my smartphone to chill in, because whatever our relationship is, we definitely need separate bedrooms. I had this box, which is exactly the width of my phone's height, and I used a dummy replacement for my phone so I don't get distracted. And the concept is a sci-fi, vaguely Star Trek-y bedroom filled with analog entertainment. The reason why it's a sci-fi room is that my first point is that phones are amazing. It's hard to believe those people that say that smartphones are all bad. They are incredible technological marvels. I mean, in the 90s episodes of Star Trek, they have pads, PADDS, which are like tablets. I mean, more accurately, tablets are like pads, but they only hold one piece of information, one book, one report each. What our phones can do now was unthinkable not that long ago. In Philip K. Dick's stories, we have mind-reading aliens and we have commuters who live on Mars and work on Earth, and yet data is stored on tape. So first things first, I want to take a moment to marvel at smartphones. Let's not beat ourselves up for being so taken by something so incredible. Of course we're into them. We live in the future. And speaking of the future, here's my mini room. I glued all the outside bits and painted it off camera because it was boring to watch. But I want to show you it's a bit sticky because I've just painted it in acrylic paint. And yes, I'm covered in glitter because the ceiling is like a galaxy. And then the walls are the four elements: water, air, earth, that's a forest, and fire, because I thought the phone wants to feel closer to the nature that eludes it. Am I anthropomorphizing it too much, maybe? And then I cut out the bed frame and bedside table structure from a box of Weetabix, the best cereal. Some say it tastes like cardboard, and to them I say, yeah, I'd eat cardboard if it was edible. What are you talking about? And now I'll make the bedding from this shiny leftover fabric. As we were saying, phones are like something from the future, and no wonder we're so taken by them. However, they also seem to be designed to ruin our lives. It is undeniable we're spending too much time on our phones in general. A study by the IPA here in the UK that just came out a couple of weeks ago shows we spend 3 hours and 21 minutes a day on our phones on average, but that's the average of everyone above the age of 15. For the 15 to 24 age group, that's 4 hours and 49 minutes, almost 5 hours every day, and about half of that time is on social media. That's a lot, so it makes sense that we want to take back control and develop a healthier relationship with a smartphone. My issue with the very discipline-centered approach is that one, it doesn't really address why we want to spend time on the phone, and two, it kind of makes it into a personal failing that we spend so much time on it. So I'll address both, and while I do that, I'll show you how I make all the little objects in the room, but I won't talk about all of them. Hopefully it's all self-explanatory. But I wanted to show you this tiny mini granny square that I made from a 0.4mm crochet hook with sewing thread. I finally took the leap, I got a tiny hook, I struggled a bit, but I love it now. My first issue with a discipline approach is that the reason we want to spend time on the phone is that it is useful and it's convenient. And as humans, we want convenience. Of course we do. We want our needs to be met in the most painless way possible because we want to avoid suffering. It makes a lot of sense. We're not dumb for falling for it. It has very real usefulness for safety and accessibility and communicating with our loved ones across the world and finding community, and yes, also just plain convenience. And I think also it needs to be said that some of us who are addicted to our phones are using them to soothe other issues that we have in our real lives. So just getting off our phones won't fix that. We have to address the root cause. But even if there isn't a deeper issue, just the plain avoidance of what feels like pain is a perfectly good reason. But you knew a but was coming. What we perceive as an inconvenience that causes us pain is deliberately, by design, warped by the use of the smartphone and all that we can access through it. We're now being trained to perceive things that are neutral or even good for us as suffering because we're so used to the convenience. Sitting with our own thoughts feels like suffering. Waiting for longer than a second for all the information in the world to be communicated to us feels like suffering. Waiting for a week instead of a day for delivery feels like suffering. Not knowing the answer to something immediately, having to figure out how to get somewhere instead of relying on the computerized map in our pocket. Many things that are sometimes actually good for our brains to be doing, but we now perceive them as an inconvenience which causes us pain. And people do talk about the importance of some inconvenience in our lives, but it's not just that. We've always sought solutions to the suffering caused by the human condition. But smartphones and everything we have access to thanks to the smartphone didn't invent our desire for convenience. They didn't invent the problem, but as a solution, they come with new and improved issues because they exploit our very natural desire to have our needs met and are designed to keep us trapped long after they've exhausted their usefulness and convenience. And we find ourselves still on the phone when it's actually become unpleasant and we don't want to do it anymore. And we are still there destroying our attention span and losing control of what we consume and turning our brains to mush and draining our creativity and filling ourselves with rage. Why would we want that? We don't. So why is it happening? We all know it, but it feels defeatist to say it. It's not because we don't have willpower and discipline. It's because smartphones and everything you access with them is designed to make money. And that's it. That's a big reveal. It's all about money. And you'll say, yeah, I know. We live in a late capitalist hellscape. Everything is about money. But I don't think that in the moment when I am using my phone, I feel it in my bones. It's about money only. From the manufacturing to the labor, the design that is made to break and become obsolete really quickly, so you have to buy a replacement, to literally everything you access, every app, every website that you access through the smartphones. All those positive things about smartphones and all the apps, they're all true. But they're secondary to the money. Those things wouldn't exist if they weren't profitable. It's just nice that sometimes what is financially profitable and what is genuinely useful and enhance our lives overlaps. And obviously I'm talking about the infrastructure here. I'm not talking about individuals. Individuals may not be looking to make money, and there are charitable causes out there which I guess are looking to raise money. But I mean the infrastructure it's built on is built to make money. So it's not a little quirk of the internet that it hooks us in and keeps us in even when we don't want to anymore, because of course every app wants you to stay on it for as long as possible. That's an inescapable characteristic of existing in the attention economy. It's intrinsic to how it's all designed. So it's not our fault. We're not bad for falling for it. We're just being human. We are being exploited for profit. Great. What do we do with that? Given that we live in a late capitalist world, whether we like it or not, in my case, not, but given that that is the case, my thinking is it's all about making money that end, right? About keeping us trapped so we can be sold more and more stuff, so we can give the apps more and more time and data points and attention. And at the same time, there are positives to smartphones and the internet in general. We're not all ready to just cut ourselves off the modern world to escape all the bad bits. Many of us also can't for many reasons. So the question is, what am I willing to pay for? Every time you're picking up the smartphone and scrolling on it, it's a monetary exchange, even if your currency is the attention that you're giving. And there are things that we are happy to pay for. Maybe we're not happy, but we are okay paying for things like food and thoughtful entertainment and information and knowledge and the ability to communicate with our loved ones. I'd buy a newspaper with regular money to keep up with what's going on in the world. So it's not weird for me to look up the news. Would I buy 5 newspapers or 10 or 100? Would I pay money to find out what every human being in the world thinks about every single item of news? Would I spend money on scrolling through rage bait and pointless arguments that leave you drained and angry and without any hope for humanity? With a mindset shift, perhaps you can incorporate some of those tips and tricks to add friction. I'm sure they work for a lot of people. I mean, my phone has been in grayscale for over a year and it's never stopped me, but it's worth a try. But I think some of us are motivated by self-flagellation, I know, but I'm not, and a lot of us aren't. So you don't need to be beating yourself up. You've not failed at being disciplined if you slip up and check your phone. It's all working as designed and as intended, and we are the products. Smartphones are a way to exchange money, and we are bartering our time and attention for something we want. So all we can do is try and make sure we actually want it. On that maybe somewhat grim note, here's the finished room for my phone. Let me know your thoughts, because I know there's a lot of different ways to look at this. And now this is a wild video for me to ask you to do anything. I mean, I would genuinely like to know what you think, if you don't mind, but I mean, watch this video next where I explore our tendency to self-sabotage as creatives. Please only click on it if you are happy to continue trading your time for YouTube videos, but if you've had enough, you're released. Go be free. Thank you for watching. Bye.